Because then I was being clothed and doing sexual things, and I was doing like nude artistic sort of shit. And so I liked the difference. But then I was going to Peru, and
is that university?
No, I was just going to Peru for 2 weeks.
To Peru.
Yeah,
okay, right.
I went to Peru with Ricky Spanish, and I had the opportunity to do a porn scene right before I went, and I was like, fuck it, like I'm already naked, like I was getting more into domination and into sex work in general, and I had friends that were sex workers, so it was like, just might as well do it. So then I took the money and I went to Peru, and it was worth 3 times as much.
Yeah, there you go. You got like a month's worth of wages in Peru from doing one porn scene.
It was fantastic. It was so good. I was able to like eat and travel well, and it was no stress.
It was interesting. You just said that you found it hard at 18 as an 18-year-old girl to get into the fetish scene.
Yeah, I just couldn't find it. It was like it was kind of like,
so,
like just sifting.
So you knew you wanted to get involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
You sort of experimented with it a little bit already.
So I had been kinky since like the dawn of my sexuality. Essentially, I was always trying to figure out how to keep things interesting. When you watch anime and then you watch hentai, like it's so dirty, essentially, that you can't. I don't feel like people can have a very vanilla sexuality if like you're ingesting that sort of content and you like it. I think it inevitably will lead you to evolve.
Taints you.
Yeah.
So you're saying hentai will taint you.
Yes, hentai is brain bondage.
Ha! You've heard it here first, folks. You know what's funny is that I have like I've seen that pattern. There's a lot of people in our industry who consume hentai content. Xander Corvus is one of them. Kira Noir, she's another one. Ryan Keeley. The first porn I was ever exposed to was my brother's hentai porn on his computer.
Oh my goodness!
There is something there. There is some kind of connection.
100%.
I always look for these. Like I like to recognize patterns. I like to see patterns and like what's the common thread here, and and there's always going to be exceptions to the rule. Don't get me wrong, but when I start seeing the pattern of like, oh, there's a lot of porn stars who watch hentai, or specifically were into hentai before they got into porn, like, and that sort of, like you said, it's like brain bondage. It sort of like perverts you, it taints you, and it sort of starts your like sexual gears turning in a way
in a way that's different,
very 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 different to like normal vanilla sex. And when I see that pattern, I'm like, man, I would love more than anything else to do some kind of psychological analysis or survey of like porn talent, as well as a blood panel analysis.
Interesting.
Specifically of male porn stars. I'd love to see the testosterone levels of the average of all the male talent in the industry, and like their prolactin levels and all these different like hormones that dictate sexual response. Yeah. And same with women in the porn industry. I think you'd find that women in the porn industry would have a slightly higher testosterone level than average. Yeah. Like all these little things.
Especially with like the energy levels that like you have to kind of keep up with the business, like being a performer in general, I feel like is pretty taxing.
It's not very it's not a passive thing, it's an active thing.
Yeah, so having to like higher testosterone definitely would like lend itself to that.
To like higher sex drives and whatnot. So you were tainted with let's rewind again. So you were tainted with hentai, if we established this. And so you didn't want to have like, you knew you didn't want to have like a vanilla sex life. Had you had partners at that early stage that had sort of introduced you to things that were kinky?
Yeah. So when I was dating Ricky for about 5 years, and we started dating when I was 17. So when I was 19, I was like, look, I really want to be with you, but I also want to explore more things. So can we kind of open up our relationship? And in that, I had met some kink friends, and they really they taught me a lot about impact play and like asphyxiation and just like the fetish scene in general. That was like really my first step into it, was kind of diving into there because I had wanted things that were like essentially more deviant than like some people were willing to give me, essentially, you know, because like choking, you know, that's something that you have to know how to do correctly. Impact play, like you don't want to hurt someone, and then there's so many different levels of it.
Yeah.
That if you're not comfortable with it, most people don't.
Most people, and I'm glad you brought that up because I'm going to shamelessly plug my new course. Because I mean, you were there filming with me. Would you say I have a reasonable understanding of how to execute these various sex acts properly?
Yes.
Thank you very much. So, but that's the point. Like a lot of people think they know how to choke a girl properly. A lot of guys think they know how to spank a girl or like use some kind of impact play instrument. In reality, they're misguided. And I think they see things in porn and they just immediately try to replicate them at that level.
Yeah.
And that's not the correct way to kind of go about this stuff. There's layers, there's levels to this. Like you said, there's prep work. There's, you know, reading your partner.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that goes into this to execute it properly and execute it in a fun way.
Yeah.
It's all because it's about pleasure in the end of it. It's about having fun through pain with a lot of this stuff.
Exactly.
So you met these people. They sort of opened your eyes to a few things. You learn about impact play and stuff. But then you said it was still hard for you to sort of get into the kink scene or whatever.
From there it was pretty much easier.
Okay, because once you met these people.
Yeah, once I had met them, they were like, here's like the fetish parties and stuff. The first fetish party I went to, I actually performed in with them. So that kind of like really
like were you tied up on like a cross?
No, it was a Christmas show, and what was it? I think Santa broke in and we tied Santa to like the cross, and
Santa broke into the party.
And he broke into the house and we were not having it. We tied him to the cross and we like probably like slapped his cock with like cookie spatulas and stuff, like Christmas spatulas. And then my friend Brian dressed up as Krampus, and he was the really impressive impact player of our group. So he kind of like freed Santa or whatever, and then they had us bend over on the cross and like did an impact play scene on the two of us.
On you and Santa?
No, on me and this other girl.
Oh, okay.
And Santa and Krampus did the impact play
scene.
So it was a lot of fun. We got they wrote ho 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 in whipped cream on our ass and spanked it off. It was cute.
This is the best Christmas party I have ever heard of. Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah, no, it was a really good time. And it was also, surprisingly, it was my first fetish party. And I also met one of the first porn performers that I had ever really like had caught my attention. I had a boyfriend that was really into her, and she was really popular on Tumblr. But I met my friend Cherry Crush at this party, and she was so exceptionally nice. Like, she was so nice. We were in the bathroom and she comes up to me and she's like, "Oh, you're super cute." I was like, I look up and I'm like,
Crush.
"Thank you. Are you who you think? Are you who I think you are?" And she's like, "Yes, I am." I was like, Hi. I'm about to go get spanked on stage, but it's so nice to meet you." And she's just such a lovely person. So like that night really kind of like allowed me to see how magical as a world this could kind of be, because it's a lot of fun, but also like you get to meet people you would never think you would meet, you know. You randomly meet like people that you've been like wanking into for a while, or just like, or people that you've seen passively and you're like, that person's beautiful and they're like, I like their work, and you might not even jerk off to them, you just like might be aware of who they are, and then you meet them and you're just like, either you're pleasantly surprised or it's like you know.
Did you tell Cherry Cross that you jerked it off to her?
You know, I don't think I've actually ever like, maybe when I was younger I have. She makes a lot of solo and boy girl porn. I watch a lot of like gangbangs and like just harder things.
No surprise there. Call me. I am Jack's total lack of surprise.